Welcome, everyone, to the Mindfulness broadcast.
Anyhow,
I
today,
wanted to get into our material for today. We're still on PERMA, and we're at the very last of the PERMA. And for those who haven't been with us for some reason with the PERMA, um, PERMA just stands for positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. It's a model of well-being from someone named Martin Seligman. It's a positive psychology framework that we can use to learn how to flourish, essentially. And it's actually from a book called Flourish that Seligman wrote. So today we're on the last of the PERMA model, which is accomplishment. And so what we see here is that accomplishment, simply defined, is having a sense of achievement. And here are some things that we can do that PERMA suggests, which is to set clear goals and work towards them, to be a continuous learner, open to new ideas and curious, celebrate your success, big and small, and reflect on failures. Use these to do better next time. So that's kind of how PERMA is being laid out in terms of Seligman's model. And what we want to do today is just utilize our mindfulness practice in order to think about what accomplishment is and how we can relate to it. So I wanted to start us off with a quote from someone named Ajahn Chah. He's like a Thai forest monk. And what he says is, do everything with a mind that lets go. If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will know complete peace and freedom. Your struggles with the world will have come to an end. So that's just kind of a to set the tone and to be reminded of the fact that there isn't really any upper limit to the peace and the freedom that we can experience within the practice that we engage. And obviously, we're trying to utilize the practice, especially when we're bringing you mindfulness broadcast, in order to help you with life in all of its practical, challenging ways. But I always love to just kind of be reminded of the North Star. There's like so much freedom on offer as we learn how to relate to our own mind differently. So, um, as far as accomplishment goes, I wanted to just spend some time unpacking what it means to accomplish, and ask kind of a larger question, which is, what does a healthy relationship to accomplishment look like? And this is a question that I find is applicable to really any topic and is one of the helpful ways that I like to use mindfulness in both like one-on-one work and teaching and with myself, is just to ask the question, how am I relating to this? Um, and in this instance, we're using accomplishment as the subject, but we could use anything. How am I relating to food? How am I relating to work? How am I relating to my car? Whatever the case may be, right? And just kind of get curious about that relationship and how we might find ways to improve it ultimately. So before we get into some of these ideas that I've laid out here, I wanted to jump back into the PERMA model because if we've already kind of engaged with these first four steps of the PERMA, positive emotions, engagement, relationships, and meaning, then accomplishment has already taken on a really perhaps different flavor. It's informed by all of these aspects of the PERMA model. So that's pretty awesome to have positive emotions as a practice, engagement as a practice, relationships as practice, meaning as a practice. So if we spent time in these areas of the PERMA model, accomplishment kind of flows naturally out of these things. And just as a kind of larger context, picture, um, one of the things that mindfulness offers is this ability to be a little less attached and a little more spacious about how it is that we relate to our own lives, rather than being so kind of constricted and wanting and striving towards some perceived end. And ironically, that allows us to be a more effective person in the way that we navigate our lives. So, um, I wanted to break down some different aspects of the way we can relate to accomplishment and maybe see if this helps people shift their own relationship. So, first, there's this idea of intrinsic versus extrinsic. So, is there something intrinsic that is meaningful or interesting or exciting about moving towards something that you want to accomplish so that it doesn't have to be about these external rewards? It doesn't have to be about the gold star or the public praise or that kind of stuff. Is the activity itself meaningful? So, can we move towards an intrinsic model? Um, and that kind of leads into this idea of, are we going to be able to enjoy the journey versus enjoying the destination? I definitely suffer quite a bit from this idea that there's some finish line that I'm headed towards. And once I get to the finish line, then all of a sudden things will magically shift and I'll just feel nothing but contentment and joy forever and ever after, right? So that obviously has not been the case because there have been things that I've achieved that I thought were the finish line. So really learning through mindfulness how to enjoy the journey towards whatever the accomplishment is that I am setting out for. This third thing, pursuit versus over identification. So again, if we're intrinsic, if there's something that's meaningful to us about what it is that we're pursuing, um, then we can avoid becoming over identified with accomplishment. And, I know, I have friends like this who were modeled, what was modeled for them was just achievement, 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 accomplishment, accomplishment, accomplishment. And it was almost like they needed to do that in order to feel like they were worthy. And so that can be kind of a trap. So the over identification becomes this idea that, like, if I don't accomplish this thing, then I'm just worthless. Right. And so, how can we give ourselves an opportunity to have a little more spaciousness around that dynamic and to let go of some of those ideas? And we're going to practice that in just a little bit. And then lastly, this idea of lifestyle versus goal. So goals aren't, problematic. Goals can be really meaningful. And if we're overly fixated on the goal and less kind of aware of how it is that we're choosing to be as people in the world, we can kind of miss the forest for the trees, right? So, um, who am I as far as my lifestyle? Who am I as far as my identification, just in general? Am I someone who is compassionate or is compassion a goal? There's these subtle differences that we can start to tease out as we kind of spend more time in awareness around accomplishment and what that means to us. Okay, so I want to offer a practice, and I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to just notice the room where you are, take a look around, orient yourself in time and space. If it feels comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And make contact with your breath. If it's helpful, you can take a couple of intentional, deep, prolonged breaths. And allow your nervous system to be notified that everything is okay right now, that you're safe. Feel the earth underneath you. Feel the pressure of your seat or your feet on the floor, whatever the case may be. Just notice that you're stable, that you're being held in place by gravity. Just feel into that briefly. And now, what I'm going to invite you to do is to practice feeling okay just as you are in this moment. So often we think that we need to be accomplished in order to be okay. So, what does it feel like to just allow yourself to be okay or even perfect as you are right now with the accomplishments that you have achieved or the accomplishments that you have failed to achieve, all of your all of your good, all of your bad, all of your humanness. What does it feel like to just allow yourself to be all right in this moment? Can you give yourself that? Is there a little space for acceptance of who you are as a human right now? And just breathe into that. And now I'm going to invite you to bring to mind something that you would like to accomplish, something that has meaning. And just notice as you call that to mind, what arises, what body sensations, what thoughts, and then ask yourself, how can I relate to this in a way that feels healthy? How can I be curious about this accomplishment? How can I hold this lightly so that I'm ultimately more effective? If you can imagine holding this idea of this accomplishment in your hands, just looking at it from a small distance, and then ask, what is a small step that I can take today to move towards honoring this accomplishment? And how would that feel to just take that small step? What support do I need? And bring your attention back to your breath and just notice whatever is arising. And perhaps set an intention just for this small step. And when you're ready, go ahead and wiggle your body back and forth, perhaps. Wiggle your fingers and go ahead and open your eyes.